Jackson Thorne built a $12 billion empire by staying invisible, by hiding his scars, physical and otherwise, behind walls of steel, glass, and power. For 8 years, he was untouchable, until Dr. Taylor Reid walked into his world, and everything he'd built to protect himself became the very thing threatening to destroy them both. This is the story of two people who survived fire and learned that the only way to truly live was to risk burning again. Jackson Thorne, self-made billionaire, real estate and medical technology, 40 companies, $12 billion in assets, 0 public appearances in 8 years. Not since the fire that killed his partner, destroyed his flagship building, and left him scarred in ways most people couldn't see. He'd built a fortress of wealth and solitude, and he intended to die in it, alone, safe, untouched. But the Reid Foundation had a way of getting what it wanted. Specifically, Dr. Taylor Reid had a way. And tonight, she wanted Jackson Thorne. Dr. Taylor Reid, Harvard Medical, Johns Hopkins residency, youngest chief of reconstructive surgery in the country, daughter of the Reid medical dynasty, old money, older legacy. After her parents died in a plane crash when she was 19, she inherited $800 million and a name that opened every door. She used both to build the Reid Foundation, state-of-the-art trauma centers, free surgeries for burn victims, her life's work. But what the society pages didn't know, what no one knew, was that Dr. Reid understood her patients better than anyone suspected. Most people saw Jackson Thorne as cold, ruthless, emotionally unavailable. But Taylor Reid saw something else. She saw a man who'd built walls so high that he'd forgotten how to climb back out. She saw someone who understood trauma in a language most people never learned. And for the first time in 8 years since her parents' death, she saw someone who might understand her. And just like that, in a hospital observation deck overlooking a city they'd both conquered in different ways, 2 fortresses recognized each other. Neither knew it yet. But this was the collision that would change everything. In the world of extreme wealth, everything is a transaction. Donations are investments. Partnerships are strategies. And when a billionaire and a philanthropist sit down to talk, it's never just business. It's chess. And both Jackson and Taylor were about to make their opening moves. They called it a partnership, a strategic alliance. But both knew it was something else, an excuse to orbit each other, to work side by side, to lower their guards incrementally, professionally, safely. For Jackson, it was a chance to build something meaningful from his scars. For Taylor, it was a chance to expand her foundation's reach. But underneath, both were lonely, both were hiding, and both were about to discover that proximity has a way of exposing the truths you work hardest to conceal. They told themselves it was working relationship, professional respect. But the truth was evident to everyone except them. The way he listened when she spoke, the way she softened when he entered a room, the way they found excuses to extend meetings, to work late, to be in the same space. Their boards noticed, the media noticed, and eventually, their enemies noticed too. The call was from Marcus Chen, investigative journalist, known for exposing secrets. He'd been digging into the Reid Foundation's finances, but what he'd found wasn't financial. It was personal, and it was about to detonate both their carefully constructed worlds. In the world of billionaires, scandals are currency, secrets are leverage, and Marcus Chen specialized in trading both. He'd built a career exposing the vulnerabilities of the powerful. Now he'd found Taylor Reid's, but he'd made one critical mistake. He threatened someone Jackson Thorne cared about, and Jackson didn't lose. This was the moment. The unveiling. Not planned, not strategic, but forced by an enemy who understood that the fastest way to destroy a fortress is to expose the foundation it's built on. In the language of trauma, there are 2 responses. You shatter or you forge. Taylor and Jackson had both been in the fire. Both had been remade. And standing in that penthouse, scars exposed, they finally understood. They weren't broken. They were kintsugi, gold-veined survivors, and they were falling in love. This is what power actually looks like. Not controlling a boardroom, not accumulating wealth, but choosing vulnerability, choosing to be seen, choosing love even when it costs everything you've built to protect yourself. Jackson Thorne made billions by calculating risk. This was the biggest gamble of his life, and he didn't hesitate. They expected backlash, judgment, corporate fallout. What they got was something unexpected: support. Because it turns out, vulnerability is more powerful than perfection. Authenticity resonates deeper than image. Within 48 hours, the Reed Foundation's donations tripled. The biomedical partnership received $2 billion in additional funding. And Victor Kane? He was quietly removed from the board for conflict of interest. Sometimes, the biggest risk yields the greatest return. They didn't get a fairy tale ending. They got something better. A partnership built on honesty, on seeing each other's cracks, and staying. On using their combined power, billions in wealth, decades of expertise to build something meaningful. The Thorne Reed Center treated over 10,000 patients in its first year. Their research led to breakthroughs in regenerative medicine. And their love? It became the blueprint for a different kind of power couple. Not perfect, not polished, but real. People think power is about control, about building walls so high nothing can touch you. But real power? Real power is choosing to be vulnerable. To let someone see the parts of you that fire, trauma, and time have changed. Taylor didn't fall in love with the billionaire. She fell in love with the man who understood that survival is ongoing. That healing isn't linear. That scars are proof you fought and won. And I didn't fall in love with the perfect surgeon. I fell in love with the woman brave enough to show me she was just as scarred as I was. We're not perfect, but we're whole, together. And that's the only kind of power worth having. If this story feels good for you, like, comment, and subscribe.